Hello and welcome to Granite Shorts episode 6. We're outside today using the beautiful weather, and we're going to explain why choosing color for your granite countertops has to include looking at full slabs and not just samples. Let's have a walk. When purchasing granite countertops, the first step is often picking the right color. And how do you do that? Well, typically, you'll look at many different samples of granite, and those samples are representative of the full slabs. But are they? Well, as I was walking through the yard, I picked up 2 samples. And you can see here, I have a light one in my left hand, very uniform pattern, creamy color. The other one is orange, burnt orange, with some black in it. Completely 2 different samples. Believe it or not, they belong on the same stone. What a difference. You can see that the light sample right here could have came from one of the lighter parts, obviously, and pretty much anywhere on this slab. And the darker one, well, that fits pretty much perfect somewhere over here. The color and the pattern of the slab can vary so greatly, and that's why choosing the color based on such a small sample is never a good idea. You always should see the full slab before making a purchase. As you can see on this Samba red granite, this sample is somewhat representative of the stone. It has the right colors and it has some of the pattern. But if you look here at the dark side of the slab, you'll see that this sample doesn't really match at all. Still, it has the right colors, but it's just not in the right places. And similarly, when you look at the red side, it looks kind of out of place. It looks somewhat right about here. So as you can see on the sample, the colors are represented well, but the same cannot be said about the pattern, since the slab is much bigger and we have 2 very different areas of the slab, the darker black background area and the red here, which just doesn't translate to the sample. The sample of the stone that I'm holding is very uniform. It has nice even distribution of the colors. But the slab that it comes from is not so uniform at all. We have areas of black, areas of red, and it just really goes to show that when choosing the color for your granite countertops, sometimes it's not just the colors that are important, it's also how they're laid out on the slab. We have another example here, a grayish yellow stone sample, and it matches perfectly here, but as we walk across the slab, we'll see that here we have a vein of more of a yellow color, and then right next to it, a vein of white. So it's the same story all over again. Sometimes when you're looking at the sample, you might give up on a stone or not even give it a chance because of how it looks. And here you can see that this is a very consistent grain, very fine grain, not so attractive for most people, and we'll find it here on the slab. But then when you look at the whole thing, it's really striking. It's something different. It's a very, very unique slab, and it's very dramatic in its pattern, and it's something that you won't see on the sample. Sometimes you have a rather uniform sample, just like this one, which would normally suggest a consistent slab. And when you look at the whole thing, you'll see that there is, in fact, some movement throughout it. And that can change from slab to slab. So you always want to look at the whole thing before you decide on the color. So far, I've shown you a few examples that were a little bit more extreme than usual, but now we're going to look at consistent stones, or so-called consistent stones. And I have one right behind me. This is called the Verde butterfly, or green butterfly, and I have a sample of it. And you can pretty much see that no matter where I put it, it looks the same, and that's what makes a consistent stone. Okay, so let's have a look at another slab of butterfly. Okay, and here we have another slab of butterfly, and when we put the sample from the first one against it, we can see that it's missing the white, and that was in the other one. And there was also some gold in it that this one doesn't have, so they are very much different. Let's have a look at another one. Okay, we have the butterfly number 3. Let's put the sample against it, and wow, what a difference. So you can clearly see that these two stones are not quite the same thing. Yet another slab of the butterfly, and when we put our sample against it, clearly this one has a lot more gold in the background and has no white. Let's move on. All right, we finally found a slab that has the same white spots that we had on our sample, but in this case the green on the slab is much lighter than the one on our sample, so still no match. All of the slabs that I just showed you were of the same name, which is Verde Butterfly, but as you saw, none of them were exactly the same. They were close, they were similar. And that's because even though they came from the same quarry, the deeper the quarry mines the rock, the color and the saturation of the colors might change, and it does change. We know it best because we import the stone and we get new shipments every couple of weeks, and each one of them is different. So never trust the sample that you see, especially in a showroom where it might not be updated every year or two. So it's going to be terribly out of date, and the stone that the sample was cut from is probably not on the yard anymore. So expect something different. Thank you for watching this week's Granite Shorts, and I'll see you next time.